Welcome back to We Will Win, guys. A while back, I had asked some people back on my TikTok page. I think it was like May, all the way back in May, right after the football season stopped. I was already missing football. I asked them, what are the most underrated college football rivalries that no one hears about? Immediately, someone told me about Farmageddon. I'm like, Farmageddon? Here's a little conversation right here. So today I found a video on Farmageddon.
We'll know the result of the first college football game of the year, and that will be between Iowa State and Kansas State. On paper, the coolest part about this game should be the fact that it's in Ireland, but when you do a deep
Oh, first of all, before I even get started, shout to Scott Fisher. Got to give him his credit for his video.
dive into the series of these two teams, it actually has one of the more interesting rivalries in college football history. It's come to be known as Farmageddon, and it's kind of cool this is the first game.
Bro, is it just me, or is K-State just like, I don't know if I would call them an underdog that I vote for, but for some reason, like, I'm an LSU fan, right? Maybe it's the purple. It could be the purple, but I kind of root for them in the Big 12. I don't know why. It's never a Houston or a Texas Tech. It's always I kind of want to see K-State do good. Maybe it's because of Colin Klein. Because when I was growing up, Colin Klein was there, and he had a great season. First time I ever saw them ranked number one. It was a great season. I forget what year that was, but man, I always vote for them. I always go for them. I really hope they do good this year. Last year was kind of a disappointment.
Of the 2025 season, so I think it deserves a spotlight. In today's video, we're to go through the bizarre history of this game, why it's called Farmageddon, and then obviously, I'm going to give my prediction for this year's game. But before we get started, if you're a big fan of college football, be sure to subscribe.
Also, I wonder if he did this last year. Yeah, so this wouldn't even be relevant to this year, but
Subscribe to the channel, leave a like if you support today's video, and let me know what player, team, topic, or situation I can cover next. Now let's go ahead and get started and talk about the bizarre history of Farmageddon. And this game is actually one of the oldest and longest running rivalries in college football, without a yearly gap between games. K-State and Iowa State first played each other back in 1917 as members of the Missouri Valley Conference. This was back when Missouri Valley was basically the Big Eight with a few other small schools, and Iowa State was actually one of its first members in the conference. They joined in 1907 with their football team playing in 1908, and K-State didn't join until 1913, and they didn't play each other on the football field for 4 years. The first game would take place in Ames, Iowa, and Iowa State won 10-7. When the game went back to Manhattan the next year, K-State won 11-0. Iowa State would win the next 3 games, and then K-State would win 1 game before the series had its first tie in 1923. In 1928, when both K-State and Iowa State were part of a conference split, Iowa State led the series 8-3-1. K-State would then go 7-1 over the next 8 games, bringing the 20-game total to 9 wins for the Cyclones and 10 for the Cats. Something that's very interesting about this game is that it stayed relatively close to even throughout its entire history, but there have been multiple long streaks of wins for each team, and that's something you'll see as...
That's shocking, because I feel like Iowa State was one of the worst teams in college football for a very long time. I feel like they were one of the worst football teams, other than maybe like Indiana, until recently. Like, I know Iowa State's done pretty good recently, but I feel like for some reason they've been way down at the bottom. So seeing that they have basically tied record against each other is kind of shocking.
The years go on, but through the majority of the rivalries run throughout its history,
USA's Safe Pilot rewards safe drivers with up to 30% off your auto insurance premium.
It wasn't really all that much of a rivalry. They played each other all the time, but neither of the two teams were all that competitive in the conference. From 1928 to 1998, Kansas State only won 1 conference title in 1934, and Iowa State didn't win any, since their only conference titles are in 1911 and 1912. But during that time frame, each team had different winning streaks. Iowa State won 10 games from 1943 to 1952, and 7 from 1974 to 1980, and K-State won 6 straight games from 1953 to 1958, and 5 games from 1932 to 1936, while Iowa State was...
Bro, I feel like those were like golden years for college football, like the wishbone. I wish we could have seen some of those games. I wish I could have seen some of those games.
bad, K-State was even worse. In 1989, they were by far the worst team in the conference and the worst major college football program. They were at a point where they were
Damn,
losing
really?
to middle-of-the-road FCS teams. They were one of the only Big 8 teams that Iowa State was consistently able to beat, but then K-State hired Bill Snyder in 1989. During Snyder's original run from 1989 to 2005, his record against Iowa State was 13-4. On the other sideline, Dan McCarney was Iowa State's head coach from 1995 to 2006. His career at Iowa State would be up and down. While he did have some really good players come through the program, like Seneca Wallace, who was one of the most underrated players in Big 12 history, running back Troy Davis ran for over 4,000 yards and 36 touchdowns, and he never figured out how to beat Snyder. He would only beat K-State.
Bro, hold on. They gotta bring back this helmet. It's kind of tough. Is that gold lettering too? I like this uniform. They need to go back to that. That's dope as fuck.
Yards and 36 touchdowns.
Excuse my language.
And he never figured out how to beat Snyder. He would only beat K-State twice in 2004 and 2005, but those would be the last games Bill Snyder would coach at K-State before retiring. When Snyder retired, K-State brought in Ron Prince to coach from 2006 to 2008, and those were some interesting K-State teams with players like Jordy Nelson and Josh Freeman, but they weren't all that good. The good news for K-State is that Iowa State was even worse. They went 1-2 against K-State during that time frame, fired McCarney, and would hire Gene Chizik, who would later go on to coach at Auburn. He only coached there
that's
for
where I
2
know his
years,
name from.
so they
Oh,
had
this guy.
hired
Okay,
Paul
okay.
Rhodes in 2009. K-State had enough of the Ron Prince nonsense, so they brought in a new head coach too, Bill Snyder again. Coach Snyder's return actually coincided with the game starting to get pretty interesting, and it could turn into a real rivalry. In 2009, there was a lot of uneasiness around the future of the Big 12, with a whole bunch of teams openly talking about leaving and going to the Pac-12.
It's kind of really sad what happened, bro. Oh yeah, I heard about that where they were gonna go to the Pac-12. I think wasn't like Texas and Oklahoma threatening to go to the Big 12 or the Pac-12 back then. Like that would have been amazing to get the Mariota Oregon versus Texas, Mariota's Oregon, Matt Barkley's Oregon, or USC against like Oklahoma. That would have been amazing.
10 or even the SEC.
Man, that would have been so great.
K-State and Iowa State were pretty much the only two teams that didn't have much talk about them leaving. Neither team had much of a rivalry with each other at that point because they'd both been historically pretty bad, and they were both kind of middle-of-the-road teams at that point. But Iowa State's only real other rivals in the conference were Missouri and Nebraska, and K-State's rival of Kansas was mostly focused.
Bro, part of me, I know that we get to see like Texas and Alabama now, Oklahoma, Bama, LSU, Texas, LSU, Oklahoma. Part of me kind of wishes that they never left the Big 12 because I wish that Missouri never left the Big 12, Texas A&M never left the Big 12 because the Big 12 is kind of like I wouldn't say middle of the road, but they're like the lower tier Power 4 now. And I feel like if Texas were there now, it would be so much more interesting to get like Texas Tech. Like Texas Tech is recruiting really well in the NIL. I would love to see Texas Tech and Texas every single year, Texas Tech and Oklahoma every single year, and we're just not going to get it. Missouri versus Texas Tech. It would be wonderful.
On Mizzou. So, the Big 12 Conference as a whole drummed up an idea for two teams to play a neutral site game that would be billed as a rivalry matchup. They had played uninterrupted for nearly 100 years at this point, and a 2-game series was announced to be played at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City, and the game was stated to be called Farmageddon, which was a reference to the fact that both teams are land grant.
I don't know why. I've always had a thing for, I think because I'm a truck driver, right? So I've been to Iowa. For some reason, just Iowa's very gritty and like a lot of hardworking people. For some reason, I always kind of root for their teams. Like in the Big Ten, I kind of root for Iowa a lot. For some reason, I really want to see them do good. I want to see Iowa State win a Big 12. I think that'd be awesome.
At schools who are historically farm
Plus, their uniforms are not that bad. I know some people call them like a knockoff USC, but I like their uniforms. I think it's cool.
schools. K-State would win
Especially that old one that we just saw. That one's great.
both versions of that game. They won the 2009 one 24-23 and the 2010 version 27-20. Looking back, those two games ended pretty crazily. The 2009 game ended on a blocked field goal, and if those games weren't as close as they were,
I don't like that gray though.
I don't think it would have become the rivalry it is today, but that didn't mean it didn't continue to get really weird. In 2011, a 16th ranked K-State team only beat Iowa State 30-20.
I don't want to talk about 2011. As an LSU fan, I don't want to talk about 2011 ever again.
In
I just want to
2012,
forget
the
that.
number 6 ranked K-State team only beat Iowa State by 6 points in Ames. In 2015, K-State
Maybe that's why I root for them so much, because, like, 2011, 2012, how old was I? I had to be like 14, 15, 15, 16, somewhere around there. Bro, I remember watching so many K-State games because I was rooting for them. They were ranked so high. I want to say, I really feel like at one point they were ranked number 1 with Colin Klein. Maybe they got spoiled. I think they were number 1 for maybe like a week or two, and then they got spoiled. And I was like, damn, like I really like to see that. It was cool. It's like Indiana. I don't like the Indiana fans, but I like seeing Indiana win. I'm kind of the underdog guy. I like to see the underdogs win. I kind of want to see Arkansas, even though LSU don't really like Arkansas. I like seeing Arkansas do good. I like to see Vandy do good, but man, I kind of want K-State to do really good this year. And now, knowing that there's a big rivalry with Iowa State that I didn't know about, I kind of want to see both of them clash with like really good teams.
State beat Iowa State off of a crazy last-second field goal in Manhattan, and then 2 years later in 2017, Skylar Thompson scored a touchdown with no time left on the clock and walked off to win 20-19. In 2018, Iowa State.
Those are the best games, bro. Like I know the Oregon and the USC's going like in the old Pac-12. Going like 45 and 48. I'm sorry, the close games that are like 21, 24, those are the best games to me, bro. Maybe it's just the SEC and me. I just like the defensive battles, but 24, 21, what was it, 20-18 you just said they had, those are the best games.
Finally won their first version of the game since 2007, and Snyder would retire after that year. This would make it the second time that Iowa State made Snyder retire, and the way these games have been played and the way that they end is a huge reason why it's considered such a big rivalry in the Big 12 today, because no matter how good either team is, something weird always seems to happen, and the game is impossible to predict. They would do it under a new coach. After that walk-off field goal game in 2015, Iowa State would fire Paul Rhoads as their head man, and he finished his time in Ames with a record of 32-15 and an 0-7 record against Kansas State. To replace him, Iowa State signed Matt Campbell from Toledo, and Coach Campbell...
Matt Campbell. Was he at Florida? I don't know. This guy looks really familiar.
turned things around pretty much overnight. They went 3-9 in his first year, and then went 8-5. When Coach Schneider...
He said they turned it around real quick. It went 3-9.
Retired in 2018, K-State brought in Iowa native Chris Kleiman from North Dakota State to be their head coach. Campbell was a program builder at Toledo, and Kleiman was a program maintainer at North Dakota State, and they went to work just doing that at their new schools. The 2019 version of the game was the first matchup between head coaches, and Chris Kleiman's Wildcats won 27-17. That was the last game that would be normal. The next year, Matt Campbell's Cyclones would win 45-0 in a huge blowout. It was the biggest win in the series since K-State won 58-7 in 2002, and then they'd win 33-20 in Manhattan the following year. In 2022, though, K-State would find their way back into the win column with a...
Damn, Iowa State really came back. That's awesome, bro. I really like to see it. Man, bro, the underdogs are amazing, bro.
A really weird 10-9 victory in Ames. In 2023, a snowstorm would drop almost a...
Those are the... I see, as an SEC fan, we talk a lot of crap to Big Ten, but I'm gonna be honest, I'm so jealous of the snow games. I wish we can get the snow games. I feel like the closest thing we get to snow games is like Tennessee, maybe Kentucky, maybe. But we don't really get snow games. You wouldn't get to see we don't get the aesthetic of Ohio State and Michigan in the snow, Iowa State, Kansas State in the snow. Like that's amazing.
Foot of snow on Manhattan, Kansas, and Iowa State would win.
It looks great. It looks great.
The game
the games where they have to sit there and just run the ball over and over.
42-25.
I'm jealous.
Not scoring a single touchdown in the red zone. Every single one of their scores was on a breakaway run or pass. The first play of the game was a 71-yard touchdown run in the snow, followed by a 77-yard touchdown run, a 79-yard touchdown pass, a 60-yard touchdown run.
He said that was the last time that 2019 was the last time it was normal. Are they calling it Farmageddon because There's just chaos.
A 33-yard touchdown run, and an 82-yard touchdown pass. Almost every touchdown was scored on a blown
I might have to react to this game.
coverage, leaving someone wide open, or a really bad tackle attempt in the snow, meaning that if K-State could just play fundamental football, they probably could have won 35-7. They lost instead. Last year's game, Iowa State won 29-21 in Ames after Avery Johnson fumbled the ball in the first play and got an intentional grounding penalty.
Man, Avery Johnson was supposed to have a great year last year. I think he was in the Heisman race to start the year. I want to say he was like 2 or 3 in the Heisman race, and he just fell off.
In the end zone for a safety. This game is always weird and doesn't make any sense for
Rocco Beck fell off too. I want to say Iowa State's quarterback was Rocco Beck. I remember watching him. I think it was like week 0. I forget who he played. Maybe TCU. Was it TCU? I don't know who it was, but he had a great game starting out. He was going crazy, and I'm like, man, this guy might. I genuinely I was like, this guy might win the Heisman if he keeps playing like this. And I never heard of that man again.
either team. It doesn't help that most of the games that have been played over the last 10 or 15 years have been one score or close ones. If you ignore the big blowouts in 2013 and 2020, Iowa State currently leads the series 54-50 in 4. Like I said before, this year's game will be the third time it's been played outside of Ames or Manhattan, but it might honestly be one of the most important games in the series history. When the Big 12 expanded to 16 teams, they created a schedule.
It would be cool if Farmageddon got like their own little neutral site. The way I want to say Georgia and Florida play in a neutral site. It would be super cool if they can get a neutral site and not play, just do half and half tickets. Just have pure chaos.
Matrix that only protected a few rivalries, and Farmageddon wasn't protected. So in 2027, the game will not be played at all. It has been played 110 times in a row at that point, making it one of the longest uninterrupted streaks in college football history. But the reason why it's important is this team is huge for the college football playoff.
Did you say 2027 and not playing the game anymore?
It has been played 110 times in a row, so in 2027, the game will not be played at all. It has been played 110 times in a row at that point, making it one of the longest uninterrupted streaks in college football history. But the reason why it's important is this team is huge for the college football playoff.
So definitely got to watch it this year. Unless they're counting this as 2027, I don't know, but definitely got to watch it this year. It's probably the last time we're going to see it. I hope they go hard.
And Big 12 championship stuff. Both K-State and Iowa State are projected frontrunners in the Big 12 conference this year, as Iowa State made the championship game last year, and despite losing a lot of talent to the NFL, they're still led by a really talented quarterback in
They both sucked this year. It sucks.
Rocco Becht. Rocco took the college football world by storm last year, throwing for 3,500 yards and 25 touchdowns.
I thought he was going to have a great year after that first game that he had last year.
And leading Iowa State to an 11-3 record, and a loss to Arizona State in the Big 12 championship game. They were also led by a breakout running back in Carson Hansen, who ran for 7.
Although, honestly, for the Big 12, I kind of already knew that Texas Tech was going to be in the championship. I kind of already knew they were going to kind of dominate. If you really looked at their transfer portal that they had, bro, they really hit last year, and they did very well this year too.
152.
I don't know what they're gonna do at quarterback though, because I think his name is Brandon Sorsby, and the gambling thing, he really screwed himself up, bro. Because he could, if that man could have had a breakout year with Texas Tech, he might have been a first round pick.
2 yards and 13 touchdowns.
Bro, it's like, damn, over a little bit of money on gambling, bro. Like you gave up millions.
And they also still have Abu Sama, who pretty much beat K-State by himself in 2023. On the other hand, K-State went 9-4 with a bowl win over Rutgers, but it was pretty much considered a disappointing season, including their 29-21 loss to Iowa State. Avery Johnson finished with 2,700 yards, 25 touchdowns, and 10 picks, and this was his first full year as a starter. He also ran for over 600 yards on the ground. DJ Giddens went off to the NFL draft, but Dylan Edwards, the backup, ended up coming back this season, and he will be the main starter. The winner of this game will probably be in the driver's seat for the conference from the get-go, and the loser will either have a really tough road back or will instantly be out of the race. I know I've said this game has been pretty close to 500 throughout its history, and that's true, but Matt Campbell has owned Kansas State since taking over as head coach, and Iowa State is 5-4 since K-State took over, and Chris Kleiman is only 2-4 against the Cyclones since he took over. At a neutral site in week 0 in Ireland, this game is going to come down to coaching and practice, and I personally think Kansas State should have the upper hand, but I don't know. Iowa State might be better coached and might be more ready to play, and if I had to put money on it, I would probably pick K-State, but I would not be shocked if
I'm picking K-State every single year. Like I said, I don't know what it is about K-State. I really like them. It might be the purple. Honestly, it might just be the purple, but
Iowa State pulls this one
I
off.
really like them.
But what do you guys think? If you're an Iowa State,
That was a great video. Again, shouts out to Scott Fisher. Scott Fisher, wonderful video. That's the most bizarre rivalry in college football. Peace.